Inside the SportsMax Zone again, the International Olympic Committee, the IOC, the Japan Olympic Committee, the JOC and the Japanese government are insisting that the rescheduled Tokyo Games will go ahead this year. The Olympic organizers were responding to reports on Thursday night from the Japanese government that the Japanese government had concluded privately that the Games would be cancelled because of the coronavirus. The Japanese government issued a statement earlier on Friday calling the report categorically untrue. Here's what they said: "We will be implementing all possible countermeasures against COVID-19 and will continue to work closely with the IOC, the Tokyo2020 Organizing Committee and the Tokyo Metropolitan Government in our preparations for holding a safe and secure Games this summer." Now, in support of the Japanese government, the IOC said, together with its Japanese partners and friends, the IOC is fully concentrated on and committed to the successful delivery of the Olympic and the Paralympic Games Tokyo 2020 this year. The Japan Olympic Committee also wrote to National Olympic Committees, NOCs, and this is what the JOC said: "To pass the baton from Tokyo to Beijing, Olympic Games Tokyo 2020 is an opportunity to deliver the irreplaceable values of the Olympic movement to the world. When the world gathers this summer after overcoming this crisis, it will also be an unprecedented symbol of human solidarity." So a lot has happened in the past 24 hours. That story did grab us from the London Times late Thursday. And we knew, George, that the response from the IOC, the JOC and the Japanese government would have been swift.
Swift, but, well, let me not give you my verdict just yet, but swift, but do you think it's adequate in light of the consternation stirred by the report from, it's not a ragtop newspaper that reported the story of the Olympics pending cancellation, the announcement being pending. It's one of the most reputable newspapers in the Western democracy, the Times of London. So that's why the story carried so much weight and took on so much legs and took on so much impetus. And I don't know, Lance, we can debate this, if you think that the IOC's reaction or from the Japanese Olympic organizers, if it's comforting.
No, I don't think it's comforting at all. I said it was swift because I expected it, because I did not expect the IOC and the organizing committee of the Olympic Games to concur with the story that came from the London Times. So I knew a response to the contrary would have been swift coming from them. As regard the comforting of the staging of the Games and whether it will happen, I think everything is still in limbo. I'm astonished by some of the comments coming from the IOC, including the president, Thomas Bach, who said yesterday in an interview that there's no reason whatsoever for the opening not to be staged on the 23rd of July. Now that smacks a bit of arrogance for me, George, because to say no reason whatsoever, is he alive?
Yeah, it's what he is saying, the tone he's saying it in, it's balderdash. COVID-19. I don't even have to say anything more. COVID-19. Now, may it please you, Mr. Producer, to just give us these statements that you gave us in graphics just now, just to do a content analysis of what's written there, because I want to know if the IOC felt that it was, well, clearly they felt it was necessary to be swift with a holding statement. So this is what the Japan government says: "We will be implementing all possible countermeasures. We'll continue to work closely with the IOC and the organizers in our preparations for holding a safe and secure Games this summer." So the Times of London report says a highly placed Japanese government source said the cancellation will be announced because it can't happen. Does this in front of us stand as a rebuttal to that report? No, because all this is saying is that they're going to try everything to make it happen. It says nothing in addressing the report of the cancellation. Next statement. IOC. "Together with our partners and friends, we are fully concentrated and committed to the successful delivery of the Games this year." Again, not addressing the issue of whether or not the Games will be cancelled. And to be fair, Lance, there can't be any statement now confirming or asserting that the Games will happen which makes it even more ridiculous what you just quoted the IOC president as saying, because we all know why there can be no certainty because of COVID-19. So I don't know which horse he's riding when he says there's absolutely no reason to think that this thing won't go on.
I was shocked when I saw it, quite frankly, George, but the fact is I just feel as if it's a deja vu moment for me here, because I just feel as if we're going back to February or March last year when the IOC kept insisting that the games would be going on, there would be no cancellation, there would be no postponement, and even while they were saying that, we always felt that they may have to backtrack on it. In the end, they had to, on the 24th of March, announce a postponement of the 2020 Olympic Games, shifting it to 2021. And there is every reason for us to feel that there is a possibility that the same thing can happen this year.
Yeah, it reminds me quickly of the movie star in the late Robin Williams, Jacob the Liar, when he went on the radio and spread propaganda in the district about the army winning the war when the army was being decimated by the rivals. But more important than that, the one saving grace, I think, Lance, in studying and looking at the system of government and the way Japan practices government, was this one of those Western democracies where the opposition is strident and you have opposition lawmakers campaigning on TV every day against the government and trying to get a course of action pursued or to try to get something changed? There would be a different thing. There is no opposition political party in Japan waging a campaign for the government to announce no, the cancellation of the Olympics. So that may buy some time, and the government may not feel as pressured domestically as most governments would have been. Can you imagine this being London, that the Olympics were to be held in?
Yes.
Every day there'd be people telling Boris Johnson, no, announce the cancellation now. So Japan is not under that pressure. The only pressure of opposition has come by way of some surveys that we've referenced here on the show, which have emerged in the past 2 weeks, where the views of Japanese have been canvassed about what they think the government should do about the Olympics. And largely, and even those numbers have been padded, you know, men lie, women lie, numbers don't, but you can lie with numbers. And they have presented a picture which suggests that people are not wanting the Olympics to happen.
Yeah, close to 80%
Yes.
is what was quoted.
But the key thing is, there is not the political pressure from across the floor in the parliament, whether in the House of Representatives, the lower house, or in the House of Councillors, which is equivalent to the Senate in this part of the world. There is not that political pressure for Japan's government to announce the cancellation now.
Although you could argue, though, George, that as politicians and as governments, they don't want to make unpopular decisions. And if 80% of the Japanese public thinking at the moment that the game should be cancelled or postponed, I don't think those numbers would be ignored by a ruling government.
No, but that's what I'm saying. So that's what I said. The only point of opposition has come from those comments from the surveys. But it would have been a different scenario and carried a different weight if the parliamentary opposition was waging a campaign, especially armed with these numbers from the survey, and to say, look, you are not listening to the people. The people are saying cancel now.
And
that's not there just
at the moment. That isn't happening.
No, and that's the only saving grace for them politically, I think.
Yeah. Well, we have a lot more to come on the SportsMax Zone. After the break, we still have our Bangladesh West Indies cricket to review. There's NBA discussion coming up, and La Liga, and a lot more on the SportsMax Zone. Back in a moment.
Yeah, I'm not. Yeah, I'm here.